Alright everyone, it's time for the Occult, video number 294. Does fate exist? Is determinism real? Multiverse theory and other things attendant to it. Just a little bit about the nature of reality and some of my opinions on it. Now, as a person who is spiritual, not religious, I don't go to a church or a temple or anything like that, but I do believe in, the existence of something beyond the physically mundane, and I explore it openly and holistically because I'm interested in literature anyway, I'm interested in history, I'm interested in all the attendant things, folklore, and so I just sort of branch out as much as possible. Like, I'm editing a work on Vedanta philosophy from the Hindu path again right now. Then after that, I've got one on, like, herbal medicine, stuff on, like, idolatry, and there's a work called Hebrew Idolatry that I'm currently editing as well. It's very good. It's anthropological and historical in nature, but it's definitely going to be highly recommended. It'll be fairly short, so it'll be ready probably in a couple of days, not very long. Here's some meanderings into reality. First and foremost on fate. And again, this is my opinion based on my limited understanding of the hereafter and of eternity, which is as much as a person can have. Nobody really has a full, total idea of these things. Could be when you die you realize, haha, it was the Matrix theory all along. That was a great video game. I think I want a replay. I just hope that I can replay my life again, but this time I reincarnate like when I'm like 15 or 20 as a god or something, and then can go like haywire for a million years, and then eventually you get bored on god mode and you'll restart the game anyway. It'd be funny if that was true. As far as fate, I do not believe in fate. I don't believe in determinism. I used to. I came to the conclusion of determinism years ago, but then I realized something. Essentially you have to treat existence as a closed system to find a way by which determinism could be true. If it's not a closed system, that is, there is a limitless three-dimensional expanse to the universe, and this is in the total mundane. Let's say atheism is true. There's nothing after death, anything like that. Hardline atheism is the norm. There's still no reason to believe that the edge of physical existence that can be existed in, that there's an edge there. Therefore, it's not a closed system. In that system, you can have true randomness. This would defeat the concept of determinism. Determinism is basically, for instance, if the Big Bang is the end-all be-all of all existence, if it's just this universe, multiverse theory is not true, there's an edge to space, so to speak, or at least an edge to what exists within it, and beyond that, there's never been another Big Bang, by the way, a trillion, zillion, gazillion miles away. If that is the case, it's a closed system. You could, in theory, if you had a computer big enough, calculate the energy value, the velocity and so forth, the nature, the chemical nature, of every single subatomic particle at the moment of creation, or of the Big Bang, rather. If you know that, and you could process all of those velocities and values faster than the expansion of the universe, you could see the future. It would be inerrant, because all of the interactions would be predictable. The way in which chemicals and so forth interact with one another is predictable. Ergo, if you can account for them all, you can predict anything. The butterfly effect appears to negate this even in small-scale systems. But if you have an infinite system, it's no longer closed. You don't just have one Big Bang. It would be feasibly impossible to calculate all of the things going on. It would be impossible. Even a computer that was infinitely large wouldn't be able to process it all. Even a brain that was divinely large would be completely lost. So determinism, in that sense, goes out the window. I further think that in such a limitless system, especially if you conceive of it as having always existed, this brings about something else that's also a spooky paradox, which is you either have a moment of the beginning of existence or you don't. If you do not, then there's an infinite amount of time before existence occurred. That's if you have a discrete point in time that you existed at, you have to think about what came before. Well, if there was literally nothing, that is, existence itself was not conceived, how did it come into being? That's Occam's razor. That's kind of a tricky question to think about. If there was no discrete point, and it has always existed, you should never be able to reach any given point in history. Any given point, at least if you conceive of it as linear, you can't achieve because there's an infinite amount of span before it in the past. You can get around this with string theory, but this gets into another paradox. This gets into the paradoxical concept that things aren't linear at all. They're branching off in a million directions. Again, ergo, determinism is not only not real, but is actually a complete joke. In any of these cases, fate doesn't exist, because there's no determinism. Things are either truly random, or, if you choose this, if you're more than just spiritual, you could say, well, a god did it. A cosmic being that goes beyond the mundane did it. Well, then there's no determinism. This being can do whatever it wants anytime it wants to. The God of the Bible could suddenly say, you know what? Fuck all this salvation shit. I'm just going to torture you all. In theory, you could have that. If you have an all-powerful creator. I love it when Christians deny the capability of God to bring forth evil, even though it specifically states in their Bible that he's the arbiter of evil. I can't remember the book. It was in the Old Testament. It's explicit. In fact, I think he says it several times. He creates good and he creates evil. Deal with it. God does everything. There are certainly other deities that have this ascribed characteristic. They're capable of doing anything. Remember, to be all-powerful is not to do everything. It's just to be able to do everything. This gets into another paradox, which is and use whatever God you believe in or don't. Can God create a rock so big he can't lift it? Yes, but only situationally, because the true power is not the ability to lift the rock, but the ability to make oneself able to lift the rock. Easily enough solved metaphor. Just think about that for a minute. I believe in multiverse theory. I believe there is no end to the universe. In fact, what we conceive of as this singular universe, when we say that we have seen the edge of it, all this microwave radiation becomes limitless at this expanse, what we could be seeing is just the limitation of our ability to see beyond that, because there are automatically going to be a bunch of objects in the way. Even though there aren't many objects out there in the vast expanse of space, the space between galaxies is considerable. Within galaxies, the space between star systems is considerable. If you extend out a line further and further, the likelihood of something being in the way of your measurements grows and grows. What we call the edge of the universe is just the limitation on our ability to get feedback from our instruments. I think there's plenty of shit beyond that. It could be that there was no Big Bang at all. Maybe we're in a big crunch and don't realize it. Could be that that didn't exist. It could be that it's just a universal expanse of things. Galaxies and shit. There could be black holes out there that are super, super massive, ripping the universe apart. We wouldn't even know it. Can't even see them with the proper instrumentation necessarily. As far as string theory, I have a tacit belief in it. I do not believe time is fully linear. There are too many spooky things going on when you get into the, who was it? I can't remember. There's a quote like, the first sip from the glass of physics will make you an atheist, but God is waiting at the bottom of the cup or something. I don't necessarily know that I'd use the term God, although in a largely conventionally Christian society, that would definitely be the term you'd want to use if you didn't want to get fired. Spirituality might be waiting there, though. Something I believe is definitely there because things just don't quite line up. There are too many paradoxes and too many logical inconsistencies in the very fact that we even exist at all. We shouldn't. Theoretically, none of this should be happening. There shouldn't be a computer here. I shouldn't be standing here talking to you. We never should have developed. It never should have occurred. I'm not saying, well, within the realm of chemistry, life never should have arisen. Yeah, according to the laws of physics and how chemistry works and atmospheric conditions and climates and geology, yeah, okay, life arising I think happened all over the universe. I think there are probably aliens out there more sophisticated than us. Be funny to know what religions they have, if any. That being said, the whole thing, the existence itself never should have started. Again, either because there should be an infinite time span before it came into existence, or because it always existed and no specific point in time should ever be able to be reached anyway. Shouldn't exist, unless you have a non-linear interpretation of time, in which case fate, determinism, all this shit goes out the window. It's at the very least a very refined, pseudo-random, extremely large system, and that's like the base premise. I would say it's more likely it's a truly random, endless system that literally warps the understanding of all of reality that humans are even working with, and that all the paradoxes that we run up against are the result of essentially a lack of rigor and understanding with regards to actual reality. That is, even all these theories could be horseshit. Literally everything that you know could be complete bullshit. Maybe we are in a video game after all, and we're literally, collectively, as humankind, just by thinking about these things, we're beginning to strain the very edge of our matrix existence. So that if you're playing GTA San Andreas, you are a video game avatar, playing a video game avatar that at times can go into an arcade and play a video game avatar. Maybe it's video gameception. Gamers rise up. Literally everything is goddamn video games. That's about all. Peace out.